let's bring this guy in here. The Warren Report brought to you by our good friends at Peak IV Hydration. He's still sporting the orange, which he certainly should be after a crazy game at Arkansas. Peak IV Hydration, want to take a moment to tell people about Peak IV Hydration, and it's fantastic, and it's in South Knoxville and Sevierville. If you're not there, though, you can go, if we can drop that in the chat, peakivhydration.com, and you can order the patches that I've had for energy or that will hydrate, rejuvenate, and elevate your health. Jacob, you've done the actual IV treatment, and it's for realsies.
It's for real. Yeah. Truthfully, something that a lot of people, again, don't think about, you know what I mean, in regards to how they feel or maybe their health or anything, but hydration, staying hydrated and continue to, you know, get your body the supplements that it needs and just all the water and everything that Peak Hydration comes with. Man, the patches, actually going to the shop, everything has really helped me out in my personal life and my career. I used it all throughout college. For sure, something I 100% recommend if you're just looking for, you know, something that, like you said, give you some energy or just keep you on the right track.
Awesome. Okay, Jacob, let's get into this. And I want to start with Dylan Sampson, some of his comments after. He said that Tennessee was a little lackadaisical in the bye week. Now, I've heard players say stuff before that really they just kind of said to kind of move forward and really wasn't true. But I hear lackadaisical, and that perks my ear up because you had a bye week to prepare, and it was a road trip. I don't believe in the term trap games when Tennessee's trying to win a national championship. So
Right.
What did you make of those comments, lackadaisical?
I think, like you mentioned, I think people say things, and obviously he's frustrated as a leader, right? I think that's where you kind of have to understand is that Dylan Sampson is one of, if not the leader of this offense, and statistically wise also, but also just in the locker room and just every, you know, day to day as he's walking around the halls and, you know, going out to practice and stuff. So, you know, when you're in that leadership position, you really are very aware of kind of the you know, the temperature of the team, if you will, and kind of where guys feel like they are, and you can kind of get a gauge about how Saturday is going to go, you know, before Saturday even comes, right? You're looking at practice film Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and just saying, okay, what's going on? Like maybe we had more, you know, mental mistakes here in a Friday walkthrough or whatever than we normally have. But, you know, honestly, I think, you know, what I take that as is just him as a leader, you know, taking accountability and just saying, look, man, like we just didn't prepare well enough for him. We thought maybe, you know, coming off, you know, whatever, having more rest and all this other stuff. And they're looking forward to national championship. You know, people like us are talking about, you know, them going undefeated and then playing Bama and Georgia and everything. And like you said, I don't necessarily think track games are as serious as people think, but you know, somebody's got to take accountability. Somebody's got to say, look, maybe we just didn't prepare the right way. And I think that's what that looks like, you know, coming from him.
Good take. Caleb?
So, Jacob, how easy is it, you know, playing off what Dylan Sampson said, though, you know, this team has a young quarterback. 2 weeks ago, they got a huge win at Oklahoma on the road. They go into their bye week. They're number 4. How easy is it, even though it's a bye week, to get lackadaisical and like have that infect you if you're not careful?
It's very easy. You know, I mean, I think every team, this is kind of something I really wanted to drive home today too, is that every team has its own identity, right? I think last year's team, you know, did a good job of taking adversity, taking trials, taking things like that, bouncing back. And then the next game, you know, you know, everybody forgets about the mistakes made last game, whatever. Not obviously, but you know what I'm saying. I think this is an opportunity for a team like this to, again, just learn how to accept things like that, because there's a lot, like you said, there's a lot of young guys, a lot of new guys, a lot of people that haven't quite been in this experience before. Unfortunately for me, I've been in this situation a couple of times, and definitely, you know, as a young player, you definitely have to figure that out, right? Because you come into a situation in a system where, you know, we expect to win games. I know Ollie Lane, I'll reference Ollie, shout out Ollie, I haven't seen him in a little while, but Ollie, you know, mentioned how, you know, when Hype got here, there's really started to be an expectation to win games and to win games by a lot of points, right? And so when something like that happens and you're just a young guy, you come in, you think that that's just the way things go. And I think that, you know, I'm not saying it's necessary that you drop a game like this, but I think it is important for younger guys to kind of see, like, yeah, dude, if what Dylan Sampson is saying is true, and they didn't quite put enough effort in the bye week or whatever, yeah, that's a lesson that they're going to learn and that they will learn. I think Coach Hype won't let that go unlearned. And so, yeah, obviously it stinks and whatever, but obviously with the structure of how college football is nowadays, you never know. You're watching guys around the league or teams around the league, drop and lose a lot of games that they probably shouldn't be losing. And we can get into that if you want to, but yeah, it's a learning lesson. And I think that they'll hopefully be stronger for it.
Yeah, let's just go ahead and agree that Vanderbilt beating Alabama was wicked awesome, was it not?
That was cool, man. And it was so funny because, listen, I don't play anymore. I have no, hate or whatever against anybody, but I've watched a Vandy team in that position so many times where they're up and everybody's like, what, Vandy? They're winning? Like, whatever. And then they just can't seem to close the game out. But, it's honestly it's kind of interesting that they were really able to continue to put Alabama away, continue to fight, continue to, just push that lead. And again, I've never seen it. And I'm kind of happy that it happened. You know what I mean? It's interesting. And so we'll see how the chat says go Vandy, ... smiley face. That's funny. But yeah, for sure. You see games like that. You see games like Cal Miami that, nobody's really is expecting the game to go down like that. And yeah, dude, it's a crazy time, college football. Unfortunately, we were one of the ones that had to take one of the hits for the storylines, but we'll see. We'll see how it shakes out.
Okay. How concerned, let me ask you this, and we can put this up as a poll question if you want to, Caleb. The Arkansas loss, was it a blip on the radar or it was a sign of pending doom? If you had to pick one of those two, Jacob.
I think it's just a blip on the radar, man. Truthfully, I really do. Like I said, I've been in the situation before, and loss is a part of competition, and I think that's a loser's way of saying it. That's for sure a loser's mentality, and I don't necessarily love that. But now that I'm able to kind of look at it from a different lens and just kind of see everything transpire in front of me and not be so emotionally wrapped up inside of it, I'm able to say, like, yeah, like loss is part of it. And I just hope those guys, man, they keep their head up because it's a good team, dude. I see, you see all type of stuff, and it stinks that anytime you lose a game and all this negativity talk and stuff starts coming around. But this is a good team, and I still believe everything that I've said. I still think that they're a contender. I still think that they have an amazing offense. I still think their defense is extremely strong. They held their offense to less rushing yards than Dylan Sampson had total, right? So there's things that you still have to hang your hat on, right? I think you're still pretty physical in the line of scrimmage. I think just is that Armstrong, that wide receiver number 2, I think he had an amazing game. I think he had the best individual performance versus Tennessee, I think, of anybody this season. And so when you have a guy like that I think received for over 130 yards or something like that, and is able to have those big plays whenever, your defensive front is holding strong, it's tough, right? And that's how you win games. You make plays when it counts, and that's what Arkansas did.
The Arkansas loss, our poll question was a blip on the radar, a sign of pending doom. That's a good poll question when it's exactly 50-50 down the middle. Caleb?
So, Jacob, you're right. I'm with you about the defense. I don't blame them at all for that game. I think they got tired towards the end, which is why that final drive happened.
For sure.
But, I do have to ask you about the offense a little bit because this isn't the first time the offense hasn't looked great this year. It's actually kind of the third time against Power 5 competition the offense hasn't looked great, at least the passing offense. And sure. I get what Dylan Sampson was saying about the lackadaisical production. But are we sure at this point that this isn't a trend? Because the offense only scored 2 touchdowns. And, I mean, you've been in games where may have been a lackadaisical bye week or off week, but aren't you able to turn it on in the fourth quarter when you're like, oh, no, we're kind of in trouble. We need to make something happen. It's just sometimes too late. They never turned it on.
Yeah, I think I was literally just talking about this before, too. There's always been situations where your defense kind of holds you in a game, right? And your offense is struggling. Your offense is truly just grasping for anything that they can find as far as what schemes are going to work, what details do we kind of need to change about how we're running the ball, or whatever you want to call it, what concepts do we need to run on the perimeter, whatever. And I think, I guess I just lost my train of thought. Sorry.
No, that's fine.
Sorry, ask it one more time. I was just
saying, are we sure that these issues, if it's just lack of focus in the bye week and having an off day, I get it, but are we sure these issues aren't part of a larger trend with Tennessee right now offensively?
Yeah, there's no telling. Honestly, I don't think that it is. My personal opinion, like I said, that's what I was kind of trying to get to, is I've seen it happen, man, and I've seen it kind of just be a part of the offense, and it's just a part of things you have to grow to. You also have to think about the fact that there's a couple people on that Arkansas defense that know this offense really, really well, right? And we don't have to talk about the different people, but when you get transfers out, there's pretty impact players that go other places and now start having an impact against you, right? So I'm not saying that there's somebody that knew everything we were doing or whatever. I don't want to get into that at all. But you do have a offensive center, right? Offensive lineman that played in this system for a few years. You have a safety that played against this system for a few years. And so I think just going into that game with knowledge of our offense, I think that's really when this offense struggles, is when they play competitors that have either seen it many times before or have people, coaches, players, whoever involved in their program that have been at Tennessee or at, a Josh Hunt school. And you kind of see it being a trend where they run into issues whenever, people kind of start getting a beat on what's going on. And, again, like you said, I agree 100% with you, is I think the defense played well. If they can hold the team to 19 points, I think this offense should be able to win every single game. And if they're not, that's a problem, right? And so I think that's kind of where you're getting at, is we will see as it goes along if that continues to be a trend or if that's just something that, we kind of got to shake out at the beginning of the season.
I want to throw a couple of quick hitters at you if I can, Jacob. And number one is Josh Heupel being too protective of Nico. In particular, I hate it when talking heads talk ball because you've forgotten more about football than I'll ever know. So it kind of gets on my nerves when people do that, but I'm going to do that. I don't understand why there wasn't more of a focus on throwing over the middle. I get it last year with Joe Milton, who had some accuracy issues and the ball could get tipped, and that's a scary place to throw a ball for a coach. I've been around other teams that had that issue. But I think Nico's laser accurate, and it felt like they were only playing hashes out. That didn't make any sense to me.
I think you again, not a coach. You're not a coach. I appreciate you for recognizing that piece of it. But I can't tell you. I think that as a player, you sit there and even as the game's going on, you're kind of seeing things as you see them on the field. And I think that that's a big responsibility for players to come off to the sidelines, feel comfortable enough saying, hey, like, I think this, like, I think this might work. Hey, can we run that glance instead of the out route? Or can we run, this instead of that? And I think there's so much, obviously, this is why we pay our coaches millions and millions, hundreds of thousands of dollars so that they can see things like that and make adjustments. And I think adjustments are made. I think it's just kind of hard to tell sometimes about, people just get so hyper-focused on this one thing. Oh, the middle of the field's open, blah, 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 whatever. And it could just not be in the cards. There's for sure a certain number of plays that teams go into games with. You would think some of them would attack the middle of the field regardless of what the defensive structure looks like. But sometimes you go out there and get something completely different than you thought you were going to get. The film shows one thing and you go out there and you get another thing. And those are things that I don't know as a VFL now, if you will. I don't know those things. Like as a player, I could keep secrets all day, and I could come on here on the Sunday show, or I guess Monday show now. I would come on this Sunday show, and Dave, I would lie straight up to you. I would lie to you. I'd say, nah, dude, we thought they were doing this, blah, blah, they came on this, but there's certain things I just don't know anymore. So, it could be a multitude of reasons. And again, it stinks that it seems so easy to see these mistakes or to see these opportunities. And yeah, I don't think it always necessarily is as easy as it feels. And I know you're aware of that. So
Yeah.
I can appreciate that.
I'm going to throw something at you that is me oversimplifying things, and feel free to call me crazy.
Okay.
Feel free to say, hey, Dave, have you been to the Hemp House, the premier hemp dispensary online with a wide variety, great selection, and strict standards to ensure you only receive the best in CBD or Delta products? Hemp House Chat with 2Ts.com, Hemp House Chat with 2Ts.com. Use the promo code HOOK for 10% off, HOOK for 10% off. Here is my thought on how to fix everything. I was around a quarterback named Heath Schuler. I'm sure you know of him.
Yeah, I know
and early in his career, they simplified things because he was such a great athlete. And it was hit your back foot and throw or go. And that meant throw or run the football. Oversimplifying things.
Yeah.
I think that would work with Nico. I think it would make him more decisive. Just what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that Nico is for sure a talented enough quarterback to give all the responsibility, give him all the checks and stuff. But you know, as it goes, we see that the most success, it seems like, is when he's able to truly just drop back, cool, I'm protected. Let me hit my foot and let me get this ball up in the air. Let me hit somebody in stride. Let me hit, somebody on timing, whatever. Or he's also super successful when he's able to get out of the pocket, like you said. So, I don't think it's a bad strategy. I think it doesn't necessarily fit, who this offense is and what this offense is mostly about. But I think that, obviously football is a game of individual talents, but also, team efforts, right? So if this is what's going to be successful, maybe a suggestion like that would be, hey guys, we might have to take it back here, but let's just, let's all rally around our guy and make sure that he's comfortable, make sure that he can make the plays he needs to make. And like I said, I can't tell you if that would work, but I think that, that's for sure an aspect of the game that I think would help Nico kind of play a little bit more question free, I guess. You can kind of eliminate, like you said, simplify it, eliminate all the different possibilities. I want to address something in the chat too. Somebody had a good question.
Yeah, go for it.
Timothy McGee, he's just asked me, he said, if the tight end, if the line's having trouble, why not just leave two tight ends in the game for blocking, right? And I think this is something that, I usually address whenever I see it, just because I was a tight end, right? Am a tight end still. And it sounds good, right? It all sounds really simple. I think, there's nuances as far as the defense, right? We just got to talk about the defense giving different looks, right? When a defense is playing a certain look and you prepare for it all week, it's not as easy as just going 12 personnel, which for those that don't know is just two tight ends. Going 12 personnel can kind of change up pretty much everything you're looking at, right? So I think if your offensive line is struggling, yeah, maybe bring in people to help them, but 12 personnel might not always be the answer. But I like where your head's at. I always like putting more tight ends in the game, so I can appreciate that comment.
Okay, I think that should be the base offense now. But I don't think Josh Heupel wants to do that because he does like numbers and he wants to stretch the field vertically. But I believe that should be base offense. Am I crazy?
You're not crazy. I always feel like it should at least be, if you were going to put a percentage on it, I would love to live, about 30% of the game in 12 personnel. And this can be situationally as far as, if you're in third and short, like, sure, dude, go 12 personnel and just tell them essentially, hey, we're running the ball right here, and just have better guys than they do to go get the job done. And where it comes into play is now you're talking about tempo, right? And so when you're on tempo, substitutions are everything. We all see these guys, falling on the ground and faking injuries and everything. This is because there's substitution rules, there's substitution, tendencies, I guess, that teams have. And so it's kind of weird, man. It's super nuanced, but essentially whenever we go 12 personnel, you're pretty much stuck in 12 personnel unless you want to stop the game, unless you want to stop your tempo, which is not what this offense wants to do. This offense wants to push tempo. This offense wants to get the ball snapped. And I think, if you can live in 12 personnel and you could just say, all right, we'll just put one of our big tight ends in the slot and let him run all those routes that the slot runs, I think that's a great answer. You got guys like Ethan Davis that can do that, guys like Miles, guys like, Holden that can do that job. But you also have guys like Squirrel White, who I think caught almost 7-9 balls, something like that yesterday. Had pretty decent production, and so it's like, okay, now you weigh the pros and cons of having a bigger guy in the slot, right? And that's a really huge part of our offense. So it's not always as easy as it sounds. Although, yeah, you would love for that to be the base, especially coming from a tight end.
All right, buddy. About 30 seconds here. Let me just ask you, how confident are you Tennessee bounces back against Florida? I'm assuming you haven't scouted the Gators yet, but I feel really confident that Tennessee's going to play well, even though they had so many issues on Saturday.
I agree, man. I know the guys in that building. I know the guys that are leading that team. This group is not a quitting group. This group has never been a quitting group. So if I'm super confident about one thing, it's that they're going to try their hardest and they're going to come out and put a good product on the field against Florida. And if they don't, then we'll be sitting here talking about it again next week. But hopefully they do, and hopefully we can see that same offense that we all love, man, and we can see Nico really find his stride as we get into this SEC schedule.
All right, buddy. Have a blessed day. We appreciate you. Again, your appearance brought to you by Peak IV Hydration. Can you tell us about Peak IV Hydration? We can drop that in the chat. You can order the patches online. You don't have to be in person, but if you can, South Knoxville and Sevierville, great place to go.
Yeah, check them out. Like I said, go see the link. Do your research for yourself. Go find out what it looks like for you and what all the different options are. And I think you could really find something that works for you.
All right. Have a blessed day, buddy. We appreciate you.
All right. See y'all.
Thank you. Jacob Warren is absolutely. He just admitted to lying to me, Caleb, during the Vol report with Jacob Warren. So I don't blame him. I would do so as well.